I'm hopeful, regardless of the outcome. Boost the positive energy without one. Sorry about the jab, I'm on a holy field. I'm bearing fruit, but demons try to eat them like Yoshi meals. I pissed them off the Batman like Falcone deals. Jungle full of predators, I know how Mowgli feels. So I got the fire, refuse to live in fear. I can spot suppliers, eating fresh rolls.
Oh yeah, welcome to 182, I think it is. Yeah, episode 182 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion, the only pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. And folks, I think you're going to be excited tonight because I got a guest on. He'll be coming on here at about 8 o'clock Eastern time. As soon as I get through some of the maintenance here, really excited about it and some good announcements here. Hey, anybody coming in right now, please hit the thumbs up. And I'm going to take some advice from Eric Sider and not say what I normally say. But if you would, go ahead and hit the thumbs up so everybody else kind of gets the memo that we're over here rocking and rolling. This episode brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from twooldcrowshomestead.com. Turn that simp into a pimp. Bam! Heaven's Harvest, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Look, y'all, they got some ballin' seeds over there. They say 85% germination rate, but for us, it's been 100. Michelle's got a bunch of them out there. We hope to do a video pretty doggone soon. And those seeds are kicking all the way around. Also, if you'd like to tip a pimp, you can do it over there on the Fountain app. You can listen to all your apps over there and even triple the speed, whatever the case may be. But if you want to drop a derivation of Bitcoin over there called Sats, you can drop some SATs on a PIMP over there on the Fountain app. So let me tell you what's up with the farm news real quick. Michelle's been planting potatoes. And she got a lot. They're like triple organic potatoes, y'all. Nearly impossible to find these days. But she had to get them from a bunch of lunatics in town in Asheville. And, man, hey, we're going to be – this is one of the things we're growing, y'all, one of many things, storage crops. Look, crop of the year as far as I'm concerned, 2024. Do I need to give you any reasons why? I'll come to that in another episode. Also, been making extract like crazy to put out there. Folks, I got progress that will blow your mind. The old ways that we used to do it absolutely positively work, but I'm here to tell you, compost extract is, if it's done right, will give you results. And I'm afraid to do this video. I'm dead serious. I'm afraid to do it. I've talked about it a little bit on Patreon. I'm afraid to do the video because I don't think people are going to believe the recovery we're getting in a season that would ordinarily take 2 years. So look, y'all, this tech works. And on Patreon, I've been showing everybody how to do it. So it's not difficult. Look, we're not fusing DNA here. We're just basically working with our microbes and partnering with them. So if you want to see some of that, go check it out on Patreon. Been hot and heavy on making bone sauce lately. And good night, man. I mean, that stuff, you guys are buying it. Apparently the word's getting out that this stuff really works. And the new improved recipe that I've come up with, the one before was great. This one here is even better. So I can only do so much at a time. So if I run out, y'all, I'll just have to make it whenever I'm able. Plus, when we have high fire danger, this stuff has to be made a certain way. Got to use a certain kind of wood, certain kind of this, certain kind of that. And the conditions aren't right. I can't make it. So it is what it is. So bad news today. I had a baby lamb. We got 6 lambs. We had 3 females that produced twins. All of them did. Then we had one girl that didn't produce. She produced a dud last year, and she did it again this year. I didn't listen to Greg Judy. I kept on to this thing because the vet told me, hey, there was probably some extenuating circumstances. Greg Judy told me, he said, hey, man, if they did it once, you got to assume they're going to do it again. So, folks, what I'm trying to get at, my co-host coming up here in a minute would probably echo the same sentiment. Look, y'all, this is a business and this is a lifestyle. If you try to pamper every animal that comes your way doing this lifestyle, you're going to wind up with a petting zoo. You're not going to have a flock worth keeping. So you got to make sure you got to make those tough decisions. Sometimes, around here, the motto is get loose or get lost. I don't mean to be crude or upset about any of this stuff. Well, I'm not upset, but I don't mean to be crude or flip about any of it. But dying is a part of living on all this stuff. But hey, here's the good side. Here's the good news about all this. If it lived, it can live again. And it will down there in that compost pile. So I froze her little body and she was paralyzed basically on the back end. It looked like she was paralyzed on the back end. So we did everything we possibly could when we were certain that was going to be the case, and then the mom rejected it. Good news is mom's going to go in the fridge, and yeah, baby in the yeah, I guess she's in the freezer too, but that'll be in the compost pile. So hey, that's just part of it, y'all. That's just the breaks in all this. Okay. Urine on the stumps, y'all. I did a video about this before. I've been doing a whole lot in terms of research regarding urine therapy, or uropathy, as some people call it. I know it sounds disgusting, but you're only saying that because you don't know anything about it. But I'm going to tell you one area where urine will blow your mind. We did a video about this a few years ago, and I wish I did another one. Hopefully I will. What I did, all the trees we cut down, we took holes, and we took holes. We took drill bits. We drilled them down into the stump. And then if you put urine on top of that, y'all, you won't even forget about the nasty chemicals that are just going to destroy your soil life anyway. Forget about all that. All we did was just basically work with nature. So basically, okay, your urea is mostly nitrogen. You're peeing, or you're capturing your urine and you're pouring it on a stump, which is carbon. Carbon and nitrogen, what are you doing? You're composting. That's exactly what you're doing in place. So if you have an unwanted tree you don't like, drill some holes down in there. I'll probably do an updated video on that. And I'm telling you, I went over there, I was kicking these stumps loose, and it was, I mean, no time at all. So this stuff works, y'all. Permaculture is my passion for a reason, and it really, really, really does work. Got that trick from an old timer a while back. One more thing, y'all. I know everybody's going nuts over what just happened with Easter yesterday with Joe Biden. Let me offer a different take on this. And I'm probably going to tick off a lot of the audience. And if I do, it's because you're not listening to what I'm going to say. This is no criticism to you people that celebrate Easter or Resurrection Sunday, whatever you choose to call it. Okay, so Biden basically, they did this a couple of years ago, but it was Transtestical Appreciation Day on Easter. And everybody's all up in arms about it. Let me tell you, years ago when I was about 19 years old, I read a book by Jack Van Impe called Revelation Revealed Verse by Verse. I've since dismissed a lot of the information in that book, but in that book, he referenced another book called The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. If I'm correct, I think it was written in about 1850 something. In that book, he makes an unimpeachable case that Easter and a lot of the other, quote, Christian holidays that folks celebrate is actually an homage to Ishtar. And in The Two Babylons, he basically, now I'm going from memory here, y'all, so give me a little break. It's been 30 years since I read this book, but I usually remember most of what I read. But in a nutshell, he makes the case that Easter and everything about it comes from pagan Babylonian origins. In fact, if I remember right, in 312 AD, Constantine basically made a hodgepodge of all these different religions in Rome, Christianity being one of them, and they kicked in a lot of Babylonianism. Well, in the process of doing that, Easter came about. Like I said, the goddess Ishtar. Now, look up Ishtar and see what she represents. Sexual depravity, all these other things. Does it seem a coincidence that it just happened to overlay on Easter? Sexual depravity with the goddess Ishtar on Easter. You think that's an accident? You think that just happened that way? Just something to think about. And like I said, I'm going to say it again because I know I'm going to get nasty emails about this, but there is no criticism on my part regarding any of the people out there that do celebrate Easter. I know a number of others do Resurrection Sunday or whatever the case may be. But to me, every day is Resurrection Day because I do thank the Lord every single day for sending his son, his only begotten son, to die for my sins and to be risen again and at his right hand as I speak. So look into that, the Two Babylons. And there is a reason why the Catholic Church did everything they possibly could to eradicate that book right off this earth. So go check it out and see, because if you know the little seedy, nasty things that go on with these ho-ho-hos in DC, it might make a little more sense. Like I said, go check it out for yourself. All right, coming up soon, y'all, Keeper of the Old Ways, April 12th and 13th. That's down in Dothan, Alabama. Mountain Readiness, I'm going to be at that one because it's real close to the house, and that's May 3rd through the 5th. And before we get on to my guest here, I know I'm a little bit early on this. Remember, Redemption Shield. Michelle just did a 26.2 mile ruck march the other day, and she healed herself in record time using these grounding mats. In fact, I'm going to pull up the one for those watching live. This is it right here. My dogs are sitting on it right now. Folks, if you haven't learned anything about grounding and watching our videos, I'm telling you, it is free. Go out there, stick your feet on the ground, put your whole body on the ground. If you can, go out there and get naked on the ground. I know that sounds crazy. Your freaky neighbors might be over there flying drones or whatever, but you got to do it if you suffer from any ailment. There's another book written by Clint Ober, the guy that basically did all the work on this grounding stuff. Check it out for yourself. Deep breathing, all these other biohacks. A lot of this stuff is free and available to you. Morning sunlight, delaying your coffee by 2 hours, little things that you can do that will improve your life immeasurably. And like I said, I'm looking into a lot of other things that are probably going to blow everybody's mind. Now, I usually have the good news, bad news section, but I'm not wasting any time because I'm excited to get my guest on right. Well, a little tongue-tied, y'all. I'm excited to get John on here, and I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here. With that said, my man, John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, man. It looked like you had some technical difficulties on your end, bro. See, you're living large now.
I was trying to bring some better audio in, but my audio guys typically set that up, and I just went back to the one I knew. So,
well, you sound like $1 million, man. It's been too long since we did something like this. How's everything going in the great state of Tennessee, or Middle Tennessee, should I say?
Everything's always better in Tennessee. No matter where you are, it's better in Tennessee. Even when we're in a drought, we have rain.
Yeah, how about that? Well, you won't be here coming up because, as I understand it, you guys have legislation in right now to prevent all those little streaks across the sky. Usually, I'm trying to bite my words, man. I'm not even going to try because I know you and I are going to probably go in deep water, so they're probably going to demonetize this thing. Don't even care, bro. So, are you seeing any streaks above your place right now? You know, those chemtrails?
All the time. I put a short up of it yesterday, as a matter of fact, last night. Yeah, there is legislation that they're trying to ban that. Unfortunately, that's all just for show. While they might ban it, the feds are going to do whatever they want, whoever's putting that out there. Every time I post something about it, there's always pushback of that's not real. Somebody sent me something today with a video that I actually will watch to see what the supporting evidence is that said it's not geoengineering, it's not chemtrails, it's because they're using a new biodiesel in the planes. That's what it alluded to. And I said maybe they are, but they've already been busted. I mean, if you look at Monkey Works, he talks about all the flights and who they're registered to, and the company literally says cloud seeding and bioengineering and all kinds of stuff. They had one of these planes that went off, I think it was 2 years ago, on the ground in Atlanta, and they had to evacuate almost the entire airport for 24 hours because it fogged the whole place out. I think everybody knows that it exists. I mean, they admit that it exists. If you look up, there's an MOS in the military for weather modification. You can see the ground-based machines all through Colorado and Northern California and Alaska and such. So, I mean, we know it's there. So yes, they're trying to pass something that says it's illegal to do it, but they don't own the air, unfortunately, just like you and I don't own our airspace, even though we're supposed to.
How about that? Hey, before they kick us off completely, we better go ahead and handle the business because I really want people to know because I got a whole list of things I want to kind of bring up with you if you got the time to do it. I talked about a couple of festivals, y'all. Everybody that listens to this podcast, I know it's mostly going to be in the audio format that most people check it out. And before I get into that, Adrian, the name of that, it's called verifiedshungite.com, verifiedshungite.com. And that's what I use for, and I've tested this as a journeyman electrician for 25 years, y'all. I've checked it out. I don't have an affiliation with these folks. All I know is that my EMF meter goes to zero practically when I put Shungite around any electronic device. So yeah, verified Shungite. I don't have a discount code or anything like that. Sorry, John. I wanted to cover that right quick.
Back to that real quick. What are you using for Shungite? I've got a big block of it on my desk. I believe you can get it in a paint. And then I've also seen people talk about actually putting it in water that you consume as well. Now, I've seen other people say that it releases arsenic with that. So, I mean, I kind of feel like the truth is always there. And then there's somebody trying to dissuade you from the truth.
Bro, that's what I love about you, because I know I can bring up any esoteric topic and you're going to have a really good understanding of it. Yeah, I checked it out. People are saying that it's radioactive and all this other crazy stuff. I don't have a Geiger counter, which is on my to-do list, but I seriously doubt that's going to be shipped through the postal system. They get a red flag if you order a compass, a lensatic compass in the mail with tritium in it. They start tripping over that. You mean to tell me if something radioactive like shungite, or what they say is radioactive, if that were coming through the mail, dude, they would lose their ever-loving minds. But I will say, in the tests that I've done with it, I literally put it on the back of my phone. There's this little pad. Let me grab it right here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it there, but there's a little round thing on the back of there. And I tried it before and after, where I had my EMF meter, my magnetometer, all of it, man. And I put this shungite on the other side of where the phone was, and it still mitigated all of the EMF coming off of it. So, and I even got a necklace. It's got to be, to be truly effective, to be the best effective, it has to touch your skin, supposedly. So I got a pendant, and I also got one for the phone. So anything I can do to kind of mitigate what the powers that shouldn't be don't want me to have. Hopefully that answers your question, Adrian. John, I want to, before we get into the deep stuff, which I can't wait to get into with you, because I got some recent things that have happened that I want to get your opinion on. But before that, folks, I keep telling everybody out there in just about every podcast, I'm telling you, go to the events that you can go to, even if it means you got to drive quite a bit, because right now things are getting real. I don't need to tell you about all the crazy things that have just unfolded and are going to continue to unfold this year, and you need to be ready. And one of the places you can do that is at the Self-Reliance Festival. And John is basically at his place. When I say his place, it's not like somebody's house somewhere. This is like a serious manufacturing facility, and he does some serious work in there. It's really like a wonderland in a lot of ways for people like us, and also for all you ladies out there. There's a lot of wonderful things going on there. So with that said, John, why don't you tell everybody about the Self-Reliance Festival? What made you do this, and what do you got coming up this weekend?
So Self-Reliance Festival is this weekend. It is Saturday, Sunday. We have classes Thursday, Friday leading up to that. Sonny Pazikas is going to be in town doing a women's self-defense class, which, while it's titled Women, every dude should take that class as well. Hand Hewn Meats is going to be in doing a hog processing and charcuterie and all the deal Thursday, Friday. I'm hosting right afterwards. We're hosting Evan Dixon from Radio Made Easy for ham radio. If you want to learn how to use that thing without the sad hams jumping on you about not having that license, he'll teach you how to do that and get it all programmed and ready to go, and show you all the parameters and capabilities of such. And then Carrie Brown is doing a foraging class here on the compound and around the compound, the perimeter and outside of it, on Monday. So tons of stuff going on. Lots of people coming in. Angry American will be in shortly. Bunch of dudes coming in. And women. It'll be awesome. My wife is participating in a board with Nicole and Gorham, and that'll be awesome as always. Amanda has really started doing she started a whole company, Amanda's Mercantile, this year, and she's doing all kinds of salves and tinctures and medicine is really what it is. Like, we have a giant sign that says pharmacy off of a 1920 pharmacy in Nashville that's sitting on the side that'll go on the building. But she's constantly brewing it up, man. It's wild. And she'll be like, try this. I'm like, whatever. And then the next day she's like, did it work? I go, yeah, I guess it did, because the hurt gone, or this is fixed, or it's so cool to see the old ways, publications from the 1800s and such. And it's so simple. Just you can understand the ingredients that are in there, and then they actually work. So that aside, Self-Reliance Festival is this weekend. You can still get tickets. You can still get tickets to most of the classes, I believe, at selfreliancefestival.com. So definitely, if you're in the area, or if you're not in the area, guys are always like, man, I can't, it's 2 hours away. I can't go. 2 hours away. Guys fly from Japan to come here.
Yeah. That's what I don't get with a lot of these things, where everybody says they're looking for community. Everybody needs training, whether you know it or not. There is not a single time that, folks, I've been in this preparedness game for well over 2 decades, and there is not a single time I go to one of these things where there is not a whole constellation of things I wish I knew. And one of them is right there behind you, Radio Made Easy. Man, I've been trying to link up with that guy forever and a day to do his course. And it's one of those things that with all the crazy stuff going on in this world, whether we were talking about cell phones a moment ago, well, if that goes down, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to get any information? So it's things like that where I am woefully unprepared. I got ham radios downstairs. I've never even cracked them out of the box, embarrassingly enough.
Same.
And yeah, so I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going through the stuff here, man. You got hand hewn there. I know that's going to be a really good. These guys are really, really good, man. They're going to go into some deep water with a lot of that stuff, and ticket prices for that are dirt cheap, if you ask me. And honestly, the price to the whole event is only like $105, man. That's for what you're offering. I think that's a steal. John, let me ask you, people are going to want to know what kind of accommodations you have near there, because, hey, folks, if you think you're just going to, John does, in fact, have a compound. It is a legit compound. So when you go there, I don't know if you're going to have camping. Is there other availability for places for people to stay?
You can tent camp, you can hammock camp. You cannot bring a trailer on the property. There are plenty of places right close here that we can put a trailer or fifth wheel. There's tons of camping spots that you can, that are organized that you can rent out. And there's a ton of Airbnbs. I would say that probably 30% of the homes in the area here are in fact Airbnb places. I might be a little high on that, but there's plenty of places that you can Airbnb within 20 minutes of here, if not 5 minutes from here.
I see you even got an entertainment component in here as well, which I think is always kind of missing at a lot of these festivals where, you know as well as I do, because you and I have sat in the same circles at your place, where honestly, one of the best parts of going to this thing are the conversations that happen after the event is over, as you well know, where we're going to get into some of the stuff that you and I talk about. Usually the kind of things that'll get you kicked out of a YouTube conversation or whatever. But those, for all you folks out there that are saying, man, I can't find community, I don't know where to go. I like what Billy's saying. I like what John's saying, but well, here's your opportunity. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it there. I got a bunch of baby lambs to look after, but man, a lot of these events, what I like about yours is that you turn it into an event. It's not just, hey, the classes, and then you go to your own place. You actually got an entertainment component in all this. So you got a man coming out here doing a musical performance, as I understand it.
Well, this originally was SOE Party for years. And we brought in, rock bands and rappers and like legit, guys that are on tour right now have played here on the property many times. And then it just kind of during the Kufus, I quietly said, hey, we're going to have a get together. And we still had 200 people show up. And I said, man, I don't have a rock band. I don't have food trucks. I don't have a hot air balloon. There's no fireworks show. I don't have nothing. And they're like, we want to see the rabbits. We want to see the garden. We want to see the raised beds. We want to see the aquaponics. So I ran around ragged, just giving guys tours and men and women tours for all that time there. And then at the end of the day or that Sunday, Nicole's like, how do you think it went? And I said, I think we should do something with this. And it turned into SRF. So yeah, it's come back. We had several music acts last time. I'm not even sure who we have locked on this time for music. And then I saw you had Tess do your song for your YouTube page. So I got with her and had her do 3 songs for us. And then I've got Supreme just did a whole song for us. So we're putting an album together. We're actually doing an SOE album with multiple artists. Most of it's rap. So if you don't like rap, it's probably not your thing. But it's about current events and the things we believe in. Now, as far as community and meeting people, guys all the time are like, how do I get my wife on board, or where do I find a good spouse? Well, you have to go where they're at. And that's this thing. Like Amanda and I do a podcast, and the number one question is, how do I find the right woman? Where do I find her? Or how do I get my wife on board? And I always say, you married the wrong one. And that's the thing. Like, we have many couples, and I use California as an example because it's the extreme to us. They come here and they live for 20 years, 5 minutes away from each other, and never met. They met here at the event. And if you want to meet people that are into what you're into, you have to go where those people are, and they commute and they fly into those events. And we've had over a dozen couples that have been, started a relationship, got married, and some of them have now had kids that met here at SRF over the last few years.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what's so hard to convey to so many people. They're like, well, I don't have the money. Look, you will crap the money if it means something to you. I mean that, because every time I go to one of these things, like at your place, it was crazy. You're 6 hours away from me, and I go there only to meet people that are within 30 minutes of where I live. And it happens every single time. So all of you folks out there that are feeling like, man, I feel isolated here. My family doesn't understand. I don't get, these people are going to get you. And I don't care how crazy what your ideas are. There's probably going to be somebody there who can at least relate to some extent. So it's not just the classes, which are always great at something like this, but it's honestly what happens after the classes are over. Would you agree, John? I mean, some of the most fruitful conversations, I think, happen after it's all over.
I would. The real cheat code is coming the day before for a class, even if you don't attend the class, just have the access or the VIP ticket, because all of us sit around, Billy included, man, that's where those conversations happen, is that evening. People always say, I want to come hang out with you. I don't hang out. Like, there is no hangout. The only time you're ever going to see me maybe sitting, and it's probably on the floor, is at one of these things when we're standing around. I call them ghost stories, but we're just talking conspiracy theories and stuff. I once caught a fish this big, but there's truth in all of it. So and we'll sit there till 10, 11 o'clock at night and have those stories. Plus, by the time, if everybody has that one or two people they're coming to see, that personality. And by the time the show's over, people have traveled here and they've run around 16 hours a day and they're exhausted and they want to get home. But if you get in a day ahead of time, those dudes are all here and you have access to them when there's 100 people instead of 1,000 people.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's really a neat place around there too. You got that giant lake over there, and there was always there's accommodations all the way around there, and it's really about the community. I think at the end of the day, I always say that in every single festival I've gone to, it's less, even though the courses are important and it is great to have that stuff, it's the connections, and it's almost like a reunion. Every time you go to something like this, you'll see a lot of the same faces. And you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? And so you got to get to know these people a little bit more. You exchange phone numbers. And then before you know it, you're either getting married or you got a friend down the road that you can text whenever things get stupid.
Or you're doing business. And so many businesses have launched out of that, because that's always the component. I want to see people remove themselves from things in life that they don't like, identify the thing they love, and then let's figure out how to monetize that and make that your business. Like, people, you hear all the time, man, money's not everything. If money's not everything in your life, then why do you get up so early at a time you don't want to get up and go to a place you hate for such a finite amount of money? Because if you had more money buys you time and options. And I guarantee you, they wouldn't be doing the thing they said that they hate doing.
Bam. And John, I mean, I've, many times I've given you a hat tip for the business advice. Folks, if you don't know, John is a highly successful businessman, and I'll let him get into what he does there. But if you want maybe some access to him, because you've given us at Permapastures Farm some really awesome advice that has really put us on to the next level. I'm ready to, I think, level up yet again. But honestly, it was a lot of the information that I got. I'll never forget it. It was sitting right there in your shop, and we were talking about something. I mean, my whole paradigm changed just in the words that you said. I don't want to give it away here because I'm not sure it's for everybody, but my whole paradigm and how I do business and what I thought was possible changed just with a sentence that you said one time. And folks, that's what you're going to have access to at something like this, because when you go to SOE, you see the compound, you'll realize, okay, man, they're doing some real stuff out of here. Why don't you tell everybody real quick what it is you do there, because they may not know. I know we got a lot of new people jumping on the podcast all the time.
So we manufacture tactical equipment. I've got 52 sewing machines. We run about 20 people a day, and we make nylon tactical gear. When we started, I started when I was 17 years old. Everything we did was SEAL Team, SF stuff, Marine Corps stuff, Marine Special Operations. And I know if you're a Marine, there was no special operations. But that's what we did. As a byproduct, law enforcement started looking for our stuff, because back then any federal agent, any agency doing anti-drug could get federal grant money, and they'd go to SEAL weapons school and apply explosives and breacher and such. So those guys started looking for us to get gear. And nowadays we kind of just do what we want to do. I build new stuff that my friends and I want as a byproduct, and 35 years in business, it all sells out. We're kind of boutique. I don't have the capacity that we had working out of San Diego. So it's just hit it, quit it on. If I can sell 100 of something, we're only making 75 of it today. And we have a text app and we have an email app, and our stuff typically sells out first, second day that we manufacture, and it's gone. And we just jump around like that. We really just do what we want to do now. I wake up every morning and identify, I go, I don't think I want to do this. Then we don't do that day. We do the stuff that we want to do. And luckily it pays the bills.
Yeah, he's hey y'all, I know one thing. He's dropped some seriously awesome advice to us that has made all the difference in the world in how we do things here at Permapastures Farm. Like I said, that was probably proprietary information, so I'm not going to tell everybody.
It's all free, man. I give it to anybody that asks.
Well, you sure gave it here, and you gave plenty, and it's worked out wonderfully for us. So yeah, we'll have to check. I'll have to get the next level up information that I'm needing it next time I'm out there. John, people are going to lose their minds if I don't get in and ask you about. We'll circle back to the event this weekend, Self-Reliance Festival, folks. You want to go check it out. But I wanted to hit you up because I know that you're very adept at all the things that are going on in this world. Some of it manufactured, possibly, probably. Some of it, whatever. They would lose their minds if I got you on this show and I didn't at least hit you up about some of this esoteric stuff coming up. So I got a list of things here, and I just want you to kind of. Folks, John hasn't been given any kind of whatever. I'm just going to catch him flat-footed. If he knows about it, fine. If he doesn't, that's fine too. All right, I want to hit you up first about the thing that happened in Russia. Do you have any thoughts as far as that shooting, that mass shooting over there? Who might have done it? I don't know your opinions on any of this stuff, and if you want to pass, we'll just move on.
Well, I suspect that the CIA had something to do with that.
Me too.
I mean, the day before, wasn't Obama meeting with the head of ISIS in London? I mean, wasn't that confirmed? What is the head of ISIS doing in London? Why was Obama there? I'd like to hear what Putin has to say about it. Like he told Crowder, well, you blew up the pipeline.
Yeah. I'd like to know also when it comes to something like that, sure is curious that ISIS has never done any attacks in Israel, hasn't done any attacks over there, but when ISIS was hot and heavy and getting injured, strangely, they were dropping them off in Israel. Can't help but wonder if Israel and the U.S. State Department don't have a little something to do with ISIS.
Well, aren't they true believers, right? They have no problem martyring themselves, and they all wear a bomb belt. So to be captured, that's a real no-go for those guys. I don't know, man. Even if you and I were standing there and saw it, there's still something that we didn't know about it. Everything is so. If you're not aware of what the CIA does on a daily basis, just go back and look up where Banana Republic came from. Look up Banana Wars. Just start searching why we don't have good bananas in the United States. The CIA will always come up. I mean, they killed a whole town square of women and children over bananas. Like just look that up. It's absolutely insane. The involvement. We are not look at Gaddafi. Like why did we kill Gaddafi? What was that about? Was it about oil? Was it about terrorism, or was it about all those aquifers that he was putting in there? He was greening up the desert, right? Was it about he told every citizen in Libya that they will give him a $50,000 loan, non-taxable. All you have to do is be married, and we're going to give you a piece of ground, and you're going to farm the ground. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. I wish our government was doing that.
Yeah, and in addition, well, Gaddafi also wanted to do a gold dinar.
Dinar, yeah.
They couldn't find the gold at MF Global, but they could sure find his. And of course, to this day, nobody's talking about where all of Gaddafi's wealth went to. Yeah, I mean, and going back to the fruit company, just to corroborate what you're saying there, folks, if you haven't done it already, check out War is a Racket by General Smedley Butler. The only one of only 9 people in history to win the Medal of Honor twice, and he would have been the only person to win it a third time, but he turned it down.
Wasn't he 16 when he got in the Marine Corps?
The dude,
he forged some papers.
Dude, if you read his exploits of what he did, this dude was John Rambo for real.
Yeah.
And then he was, even after he got out, when he wrote War is a Racket, he saw, just like you were talking about with the fruit companies down there in all these South American companies, it was when he had the perspective of being able to be out and say, look, good night, man. I'm working for the henchmen over here. I'm working for all these people that are, okay, John, I guess we're just going to burn this whole thing down tonight, bro. We'll just move on to the next one. I love that. Okay, so the next one to pop up right here in the radar is good night, this bridge collapse in Baltimore. Got any thoughts on that?
Well, just the fact that the White House came out 2 hours later and said that there's no foul play should tell you something alone. I mean, we know that it's complete opposite day over there. Didn't Buttigieg came out and said it's over? It had something to do with racism, and it's good that the bridge collapsed.
Yeah, we got racist bridges, man. They don't like black ships. How about that?
Yeah, and I mean, how about there's black boxes and everything, and they can recover the black box. But when the incident happened, there's 2 minutes missing. And I believe it's the 2 minutes during impact. It's not 2 minutes after impact. It's leading up to the impact, and that's missing. Every time there's some foul play, they're like, yeah, a missile shot that airliner down that had all the AIDS scientists that said AIDS doesn't come from HIV, right? 100 of them perished on that. The black box is missing the information when that plane would have been struck by a missile, right? It's just bizarre that we have these things and it's just randomly missing the piece of data that would clear or show you that there was foul play.
John, correct me if I'm wrong, but this same thing happened on 9/11. Had 3 airplanes that crashed into buildings supposedly, and they recover the black boxes, which are, by the way, indestructible. And all of a sudden, all the relevant information, there's nothing that they can really use during the time of collision. They found black boxes from jets that were going almost Mach 2 that landed in the side of mountains because of fog or whatever the case may. I don't know what the details were. They even found the black box on the space shuttles, for crying out loud. Both of them that blew up. But you're going to tell me that they can't find a black box?
Well, all those astronauts are still alive from the Challenger, right?
I've heard about that.
Every one of them has a identical twin. I mean, the one dude, his logo for his company is the space shuttle spiraling off on fire.
Dude, this is exactly what I miss, man, because, hey, folks, I know a lot of you folks are digging this. These are exactly the conversations we have at John's place when you're sitting around the fire. We're talking about all this stuff. But, yeah, there's a whole lot of weird coincidences, huh?
Like the Tomahawk cruise missile that hit the Pentagon when Rumsfeld the night before announced that they were missing, trillions of dollars or whatever. Yeah, okay, so you want a plane supposed to come in. The plane anti-collision avoidance system will not allow the plane to fly as low as that plane came in. Not to mention the bridges, the lights, the guy wires, and all of that stuff. But all of a sudden, like within minutes, you guys have brand new passports that are unscathed, no marks, showing Saudi citizens. Right, makes all the sense in the world.
I guess these passports were like Thor's hammer. I guess they were made in the heart of a dying star, bro. Because you have
a body. I don't remember what the organization's called. I think there was 1,300 professional airline pilot and military pilots who have signed on to this thing that said it's all BS. The plane can't do it. It's not real. It is all nonsense.
Well, worse yet, check this out. They tried to get Top Gun pilots. Now, you're telling me a guy who flew a Cessna did a corkscrew turn, got it at ground level, and just happened to hit the one place in the Pentagon that was housing all the records as to where that $2.3 trillion that Donald Rumsfeld was talking about the day before. All of that just goes, now check this out. Top Gun pilots. They couldn't even get Tom Cruise or his lookalike to recreate what they did on that day they couldn't do it with a highly maneuverable plane like a F-15 or F-14 rather. They couldn't do it with that, but you're going to tell me a bunch of banana eating, bean farting people living in the Middle East who only had Cessna license, didn't even learn how to land this thing, just happened to hit the one part of the Pentagon. By the way, ain't no wing marks on that Pentagon. You notice that? No plane debris, none of that stuff.
Yeah, like a rocket, like a missile.
Looks a lot like that, doesn't it?
What happened with the AT&T building in Nashville 3 Christmas Eves ago?
Oh, yeah, nearly forgot about that. Did we ever get to the bottom of what that could have been?
Well, of course. I mean, the FBI had it solved in like 2 hours. It was a dude with some propane bombs in an old RV.
Well, how about that? Good night. All right, next topic. And this one's big, man, because everybody is losing their minds over it. I don't know your opinion on this, but I got to know. This eclipse coming up. Now, I got an opinion on it, but I want to go ahead and let you fire away. What thoughts do you have on it?
I'd be curious to hear yours. Do you think it's like blue beam is what it's going to be? Or, man, I've seen so much. I mean, just roll the dice. Whatever you want is out there. I don't know what my opinion on it is. My opinion is that I'm going to be fine on Tuesday. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 52. Every year something was supposed to wipe us from the earth. It's like Scully says. He goes, nobody has a magic spell to make Jesus come back the next day, right? We can erect the altar. We can breed the perfect genetic red cows. We can take them over there. Jesus is going to come back when Jesus wants to come back. It's not like human beings are not going to do some things that are going to make Jesus come back. And I know a bunch of people are typing. Take your pick. I'm curious what it really is.
I'll tell you what I think. Okay, I was there back in 2017. I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where it just happened to be one of the places where it was a total eclipse. I mean, same exact thing that's going to happen right now. And I remember the day that happened, John, all the prognosticators of doom prior to that and all the podcasts, the typical people were saying, oh, man, watch out. This thing's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be devastating. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. I remember being out there, and I had those stupid glasses, and I had an extra pair. I'm next to some Nimrod that I don't even know, and I'm like, okay, I'll give him the extra pair, but he won't shut up. And all I could think, I remember looking up, and of course, the preparedness side of me was saying, hold on, everybody's looking up. I bet a pickpocket is making a fortune right now. Everybody was so doggone enamored. So I took off the glasses, and I looked around, and I was like, dude, this ought to be National Pickpocket Day, because I am like, what is going on here? But anyway, here's what I think is going to happen. And it is nothing. And here's why I say it. Because well, you're a historian, especially for a lot of these conspiracy things. So, John, I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question, because I can't find a single time in history where some event was highly touted and went down on the day that they said all these things always happen. They never happen on the day that they say these things are going to happen. It always happens. Now, I think it may be a week later, could be days later, but I'm going to bet money that just like Y2K, just like the last one, and then of course you got all these prognosticators of doom, these people like Jonathan Cahn and a number of others have written all these books saying, oh, we got this prophecy that's going to happen on this day and all. Well, these things have come and gone, and here's the latest. And I just think a lot of people are making a lot of hay out of it. But the other side of me is thinking, And John, I know you know about this. I'm going to say, well, at the same time, what's going on? NASA is supposedly shooting up 3 rockets to the moon at the same time. And at the same time, CERN, the Hadron Super Collider over there in Switzerland, is kicking off full blast altogether. So, what do you think our chances are?
Do you know why they're shooting the rockets up? They're trying to capture black matter, is what they said.
Yeah, I'm wondering myself if this whole thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, black matter, that would be the when the world was born, basically the beginning of creation. They think that they're going to be able to capture that and then use that in some manner in the collider. And yeah, all those things all happening at once.
Yeah, I think I'm like you, man. It wouldn't prevent me from one bit of doing whatever I'm going to do. I'm going to always be prepared no matter what. And that's exactly what you learn by going to the Self-Reliance Festival. You stay alert, stay alive. That's exactly what we do. That's what we live by. And I
think
see.
I think
Go ahead.
I think it's you have super wealthy madmen that are bored, and they literally like, okay, I'm going to tell them they have to do this thing and let's see what they do. And he's like, okay, I'll take your bet. I'm going to one up them. They don't just have to wear masks. I'm going to tell them they got to put a light bulb in their butt. And let's see how many dudes put light bulbs up there. Like, I think it's just crazy people. And I think that a lot of it is also for ratings. I think look how many people make crazy content, especially with AI now, for views. And then once you have views, we can monetize in some manner. I think a lot of people are making money off of stuff that goes viral, not the content per se, but whatever it is, their program or whatever they're selling. And then mainstream media is all but dead. So they're latching on to just anything. How many times did CNN get busted out talking about all the rockets and stuff when there was none? And when the cameras were off, they're laughing and took the gas masks and stuff. How many times did you see them in a hurricane or a flood? And when the camera pans out, there's dudes walking through the water. The guy in the kayak is sitting there floating in. I mean, I think it's just like that. Will something happen? I don't know. I mean, you got a whole group right now saying that a meteor, at the same time, there's supposed to be a meteor coming or something.
Oh, yeah.
And they're saying it's going to hit the Parthenon in Nashville and completely wipe Nashville out. I don't know. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you're a few hours. Yeah, you're not exactly in the back door there, but I'm not sure I'm buying. You know what, John? It's like,
no.
It's like as soon as I don't disprove anything until it's officially proclaimed. As soon as I hear, it's like, just like you said a moment ago, what was it? A few minutes after this bridge falls down, which almost didn't even seem real to me the way it unfolded, but it's minutes later or hours later, no investigation, no nothing. And then you got people like Laura Logan saying, yeah, everybody I know in the intelligence community is basically saying this thing was a terror attack. This was a hack. This was whatever. None of this makes any sense. But honestly, that's exactly what they want, is that they want to keep us from being us. They want to keep us from going to a place and learning something or doing something or taking any action whatsoever. And I know you're a big believer on that, because not only is it a compound out there, dude, you got a legit farm.
Man, I'm more concerned about the RFID tags than the tracking, them being able to track, beef and such. I'm more worried about them trying to shut off interstate commerce of baby chickens. I'm more concerned with that, right? Every time it's always watch this, don't pay attention to this. Mm-hmm. So with all the crazy stuff going on, what are they doing over here to us?
They're they're the modern pickpockets. This is exactly, I think that's a great microcosm that you made there, is that the pickpockets, when everybody's up there looking at that thing, and like I said, I took off the glasses, looked around, and there was not a swinging soul there that had any attention on anything other than what was happening in the sky there. And William, by the way, is in the house. He says he's going to be in one of the spots at our other at the other farm in Texas where he is. And he said it's going to be a full eclipse over there. I guess they're seeing all 10 minutes of it there. So, hey, son, when that's unfolding, I heard from another podcaster, whenever you see this eclipse go down, look in the opposite direction, 360 all the way around. It's supposedly some crazy celestial event ought to be unfolding about that time as well. So, John,
maybe the dome's going to glitch and you're going to be able to see the water above. Who knows?
That's actually, dude, I don't know if you listened to the same thing I heard, but that's exactly what somebody said, is that it's going to show a glitch in the matrix, and all of a sudden the firmament will be easy to see. And then another person saying that asteroid Apophis, or whatever it is, supposedly that's supposed to hit in 2029. That's supposedly going to be visible. I mean, but like you said, John, while everybody's looking in this one hand, it seems like this is exactly what the powers that shouldn't be want. We're all looking over here, worried about what may happen there, when I guarantee there's something over here that everybody's going to say days later, oh, okay, I get it now. Or at least Billy, those of us that are paying attention.
You and I and William and Michelle, and Amanda, we've all had this conversation, right? Three years ago, we were having a very similar conversation. Mm-hmm. And I said, I feel like it's always fight or flight. If we can get you out of fear and adrenaline, then you never have the ability to rest and recover. and you never have the ability to operate at the level you're capable of. And I think most of us, I think we're capable of more than we know that we are. I think that a lot of technology, I think modern technology has erased our ability to heal ourselves. For instance, frequency, vibration, Tibetan healing bowls, sound waves, stuff like that, right? What if you could heal yourself for free and you no longer needed all the poison and all of their machines and stuff, right? And I think a lot of it is just it's misdirection and distraction, and to keep you worried. Everybody is like maxing credit cards out in case this is going to happen, but nobody started a business. I mean, our people all started businesses.
Yeah.
That's what it's always, what do I need to get? What do I need to get? Everybody was like, what do I need to do? Haven't you already done it? Like, we've been having this conversation for 20 years. Right. Like, don't you already have 556? Like, didn't you get barrels of that when it did go down in price 20 years ago? Don't you already have thousands of gallons of water put away? If you don't have, the average US citizen doesn't have $1,000 in their bank account right now. Like, wow. Most people's problems on a daily basis are only their problem. And short of your town being wiped out of a tornado, and even then, that's your town's problem. That is not the United States' problem. It's very rare that we've seen a United States problem, right? They are very, very localized, and usually it is involving one or several people. But people having those conversations over and over, most of them are not prepared for even their own emergency.
And that brings me right back to what you're doing this weekend, is that it's called the Self-Reliance Festival for a reason. And John hit it out of the park with that, because it's not, we hear about what's going on over there in Gaza. Yeah, it's really, really awful. I mean, we hear what's going on in Ukraine. It's a manufactured conflagration. We hear about all these other things that John and I spoke about, all the way going back to the banana wars, all the way to the fruit wars. I mean, all the way, this has been going on for hundreds of years. And now with the advent of all these phones and the things like it, we get curry in a hurry. We get bombarded with this information. I mean, John, you and I are the same age. So would you not agree, for all the young people that are listening right now, would you not agree that you hear more, let's call it profound information in a day than you would normally hear in several weeks these days?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's this thing.
Yes.
And if you turned this off right now, I call it war within arm's reach, right? Spearco says, does it affect the temperature of the water in your pool? Look left and look right. Do you see a problem or emergency? If you had this turned off for 72 hours, would you even know there was a problem or emergency? If this is turned off and there's a whatever coming, somebody will tell me. You will know. You don't need this thing. But we are hooked on this thing, and it is literally destroying people's lives.
Well, you were talking a moment ago about the little things as far as healing. I mean, you got all these free modalities, like getting up, you get up early in the morning. I mean, when I say early, I mean long before the sun comes up. You're out there working out, you're doing your thing. I'm doing my version of it as well. And you and I, some people would call us old timers. I know some of the younger people would. And I mean, I know I'm not, and I know you're not, but the point of it being is that, the older I get, it feels to me, the more I need to put an attention on all these things I can to increase longevity, whether it's taking the right vitamins, whether it's eating the right foods, or maybe not eating the bad foods all the time. It's all these little things that we need to focus on, where we aren't focusing on, simply because, like you said, we're looking down in this phone instead of, well, William put in there 75 hard. Yeah, that's what we did. It's people not putting down that stupid phone and picking up a weight, or doing a little bit, or saying, okay, you're going to use what little money you'd have to go to the lake this weekend, when you could easily go out there, learn a few skills, meet some people that are actually going to make a difference in your life. It's all a matter of where you put your effort. And and John, I know you're an old timer and everything, but you're still working out every day, don't you?
Yeah, man, I do. I planted 100 plants this weekend. If I was on this, I wouldn't have done any of that, right? I mean, I still run around. I shoot 5 video series every week. I do 2 full-length podcasts. I do a live video every night at 9:00 for 2 hours. I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I work out for between 45 minutes and an hour. I worked out twice today. And as soon as I'm off here, I've got a live that I'll do till 11 o'clock. My head will hit the pillow probably 11:30, and I'll be up at 4:30 in the morning again.
Yeah, that's how. Well, that's what successful people do, right?
That's what I do.
Yeah,
that's what I do. And everybody has it. And getting up at 4:30, like it doesn't have to be 4:30, but being up at 4:30 removes everybody's excuse. I didn't have time to. I couldn't do this, or I had to do this other thing because of the kids. 4:30 removes all of that. And when you really push dudes, when you hear 4:30, you never hear what time they went to bed, right? When you push Vanderchuck, he goes to bed at 7. Forcella, Forcella doesn't get up at 4:30. He likes to get up at 7, goes to bed at midnight typically. Wes Watson goes to bed at 10:30, gets up at 2:30, 2:45 every morning. So it just removes the time. I think as you get older, I feel, and it also has to do with hormone levels. When your hormones are proper and optimized and you're not poisoning yourself as much, you don't have to have as much sleep. Sometimes I sleep till noon, 2 o'clock sometimes on Saturday. Maybe once a month I have to recharge those batteries, but I run pretty good, pretty consistent.
No, I heard that, man. I tell you what, John, I could go all day. I wish I could be out there with you guys this weekend. I know you got other commitments, and folks, go check. Where can everybody find you? I know that's a foolish question because he is a SOE Tactical on YouTube. And John, tell them about your podcast also that you do with Scully.
So I do a podcast called Pulling the Thread. We called it The Bunker. It started years ago, and we did 126 episodes back to back, 5 days a week. It's just conspiracy theory. And we did a series called The Breakfast Videos for years. And all we really did is just read the comments from the day before. So that video series went wherever the audience wanted it to go. And we still do that. We do a Pulling the Thread podcast. It's kind of from the perspective of Scully, who's been in combat around the world in multiple places. A little bit of special operations stuff. There's some conspiracy theory stuff in there, a little bit of mindset. And it's just kind of driven by the comments. And then we have a Patreon where we build a custom video off of the questions that the Patreon members ask. Amanda and I do a video. It was really called You Married the Wrong Bitch was the name of the podcast. And we've changed it. They want to go back to that. That's what Amanda wanted to name it. I just call it Q&A, and it's based off of questions that the members on YouTube ask. But we do a 2 to 3 hour video with legitimate, actionable information in there. Guys are like, how do I scale my business? What should I be doing on social media? It can be any question. And we spend hours every Friday doing that video, just Amanda and I. And a lot of people are asking her questions about, healing and herbs and stuff. And they're asking me questions about tactical gear. But they keep asking questions. So we keep building the videos.
Okay. I thought this was all about when I heard the name of that, I'm thinking, okay, this is some kind of advice. Are you giving like marital advice and stuff like that too? It
started off as a joke, right? Guys were asking me how to get it, because I've been with Amanda for a very long time. We've raised 7 kids. We have successful kids that are buying properties, having children, having families. None of them have been in jail. None of them have an addiction problem. So I think that's a success. So I used to say, I'm like, man, I'm not the guy to ask advice on how to find a girl. But I guess I am qualified. I mean, I've kept her for a long time. We've done well together. So we just kind of did it as a joke, literally as a joke. Hey, you want to ask some marriage advice? You want to ask, relationship advice? Ask John and Amanda. And the first time we sat down, it was literally a joke. But people asked real questions in addition. And they kept asking me, like, you can see the first 10, 15 episodes. I'm like, man, I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist. I am not qualified to give you marriage advice. I'm very concerned. Like, I used to tell people exactly what I thought, but I'm highly concerned that one day I'm going to get an email from a lady that's like, my husband, did what you did and, he couldn't handle it and now he's gone. Like, I'm very cognizant of that. So I've really kind of toned it down a little bit. But in the first, I used to just tell people, look, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I did or what I would do.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can definitely understand your concern about that, bro, because I mean, you don't even have to do anything wrong and people are still blaming you for it. I mean, there was a lady that bought some bone sauce. This is about a year ago, and I don't know what. Okay, so the instructions are pretty clear, man. Put a paintbrush in there and put it on your trees. She mixed it up in a 5-gallon bucket of water and poured it on the lawn, and then wondered why it didn't work. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So yeah, if somebody can screw up those instructions, bro, I don't even want to start thinking about what they're going to do with marriage advice.
Hey, listen. Anybody that has anybody with a business, when you have irate customers, if you don't feel qualified to handle them, send me those emails and I will tell them exactly what you wish you would tell them.
No, I tell you what, that was one great thing I learned about you too, is that the customer isn't always right.
A lot of times they are, but some of them aren't. And the typical thing with that guy, he does that everywhere. When he's blasting your company, if you found his social media footprint, he's done that to a bunch of companies. He's also the same dude. Anytime you walk into Walmart, Best Buy, Home Depot, go stand at the customer. You owe it to yourself. Go stand at the customer service desk for about 90 minutes and just eavesdrop on the conversation, because it's usually somebody that is berating the little girl standing there who has nothing to do with that piece of equipment that failed or that you bought the wrong thing. And they are typically that way all through life. And they've been told that the customer is always right. And if they go in and flex a little bit, they will always be rewarded. It's the same person. You see them at any of the box, Chili's or any of the restaurants that you shouldn't even be eating at. But there's always that dude. He ate half the steak, complains to the waitress, demands to see the manager. Manager's customer relations skills, he's trained to diffuse the situation, lower the tone, and then, he gives them a gift certificate. So please come back and do this again to us.
So what would you do? I mean, there's a little, John, I got to ask, okay, let's say you're the manager at that Chili's. You got some Nimrod that walks in here, does that very same thing. How would you deal with that situation? Okay, hey, I ate half this steak, but it's not cooked to the temperature, and I ate all the baked potato. How would you deal with that?
Oh, violence is always the answer. I mean, that's why society is like that is, because we have no kids who we have no calluses, right? There's no skinned elbow. We don't let kids, play flag football, which always becomes tackle football. Nobody's been pressure tested. And when I say violence is not, of course, not always the answer, but it's just asinine that society has been, we have airplane doors falling off and tires falling off. You just had a bunch of Apache helicopters crash back to back, multiple different locations. Do you think that they just forgot how to take care of those? Or do you think they've got some people doing the maintenance that are not qualified, right? Are those ESG hires, or are those do you think that dude just had a bad day that day?
Yeah. Yeah. Man, there's a lot of great information, y'all. Hey, if you want to check out John, we'll leave his links down below in the podcast. I know we do this primarily as a podcast, but man, I want to thank everybody on YouTube for checking this out. John, I can't thank you enough. Once again, tell everybody what's going on this weekend and how to get there.
So Self-Reliance Festival, it's in Camden, Tennessee, which is between Memphis and Nashville. Selfreliancefestival.com. You can still get tickets. We would love to see you guys. The big thing that I've been really talking about, people are like, these kids these days, right? Well, what do we do about it? These kids these days are our fault. Like, you raised your son, I raised my kids. Those are our responsibilities, right? So how do we change that? I think a big problem is that we take our elderly and we warehouse them. We put them away. We don't go visit them. We don't want to see them. History is his story. So if you have the position that you can get a piece of property, even if it's the worst property in the world, I've been talking to William, looks like a bomb went off on this other piece of property we're looking at, but I can change that in a year's time, 18 months, right? This place was a gravel pit. So if we buy a piece of property, put some small houses on the property, keep our parents on the property, keep our grandparents there. They can help you raise your kids. You can help with the next generation of children. History is his story. If you're not telling your story to your children, they are never going to tell your story the way you want it told. So you have to develop things. I do things through the every day where guys are like, why are we doing it this way? We're doing it this way because this is how I want the story told 5 years from now when we're all standing around talking about it. It is our responsibility. And until we take responsibility, nothing is going to change.
Bam. That's how, man, he came in strong and he ended strong, y'all. Hey, John, I can't thank you enough for being on, and thanks everybody for checking it out. Until next time, stay alert, stay alive.
They don't want the individual. copy. True spitting that manicotti. Yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they wanna build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. Like a kamikaze, get me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. They wanna push me to the center like a cell. They wanna split up at the center of the nexus. Me. They want me to